1 second.
Let's just say we take this job. Is it even possible?
That shipwreck is 80 feet down.
In the dark.
It's not safe.
You need the money.
Whatever happened to Pogues for life?
Outer Banks has been a hit for Netflix since its debut in 2020, blending teen drama with high-stakes adventure. Set in North Carolina's Outer Banks, the series follows a tight-knit group of friends known as the Pogues, who find themselves entangled in dangerous treasure hunts and intense rivalries with the wealthier Kooks. Over the seasons, the show has evolved beyond just the treasure hunting thrills. Its strongest element might actually be its coming-of-age narrative. As the Pogues grow up, their relationships deepen, and so does the emotional complexity of the story. Season 4 picks up with a group carrying heavy emotional burdens from both their personal lives and the escalating stakes of their latest quest. Each new development challenges them in ways that are both physical and emotional. The writing leans into these challenges, making the story richer and the characters are forced to grow. By the end of Season 4, it's clear that Outer Banks is building toward a definitive conclusion, which is why Netflix renewed it for a 5th and final season, even before Season 4 Part 2 had finished airing. However, despite the early renewal, production on Season 5 is still in its early stages. Actor Chase Stokes, who plays John B., shared that the writers are actively working on the scripts, but filming hasn't started yet. He explained that things are moving slowly and that Netflix is keeping details tightly under wraps. While fans are eager for updates, it's still unclear when the final season will be released. The ending of Season 4 left viewers with major cliffhangers. Perhaps the most impactful moment was the death of JJ, a beloved core member of the Pogues played by Rudy Panko. His death at the hands of the villain Chandler Groff was a shocking moment that raised the stakes dramatically. With Groff escaping with a Blue Crown artifact and hinting that his buyer is in Lisbon, Portugal, the remaining Pogues are now poised for one last globe-trotting adventure. They're not just chasing treasure, they're out for justice and possibly revenge. Though JJ won't return due to his death, most of the main cast is expected back. This includes Chase Stokes as John B., Madelyn Cline as Sarah, Madison Bailey as Kiara, Jonathan Davis as Pope, Carlacia Grant as Cleo, and Drew Starkey as Rafe. The story is likely to focus on the Pogues pursuing Groff across international borders, confronting new dangers and trying to close out the mystery that has followed them since the beginning. Given JJ's fate, it's also clear that Season 5 won't pull any punches, and more surprises are likely in store as the series draws to a close. On the other hand, in Outer Banks Season 4, the Pogues, John B., Sarah, JJ, Kiara, Pope, and Cleo are back, but things quickly spiral. Even though they found El Dorado and became rich, JJ uses most of his money to buy back land and build a surf and bait shop so they can all live and work together. Unfortunately, a storm damages the shop, and new zoning laws threaten to take away Poguelandia, forcing the group to accept a deal from West Gen Ret, retrieve an amulet that belonged to Blackbeard's wife in exchange for $50,000. As they search for the amulet, they cross paths with a rival treasure hunter named Leitner, who also wants the treasure and works for a mysterious woman named Dahlia. Leitner is dangerous and even kills Terrence, a man who tried to help Cleo. The Pogues are left with Terrence's body and decide to bury him at sea instead of telling the police, fearing they wouldn't be believed. Meanwhile, JJ receives a strange letter from Wes. It leads him to find Luke, the man who raised him, who then reveals that he isn't JJ's biological father. JJ's real parents are Larissa Jenrette, Wes's daughter, and Chandler Groff. Larissa had supposedly died in a boat accident and people thought her baby died with her, but JJ survived. Luke took him in and raised him. It's unclear why Groff didn't raise JJ himself, but it may be because he's a dangerous man and possibly involved in Wes's death. Groff is also secretly working with Hollis Robinson, a real estate agent scamming Rafe Cameron. Hollis convinces Rafe to help her buy Goat Island, but it's really part of a scheme between her and Groff to get control of the island and the treasure. Leitner and Dahlia manage to steal the amulet and a scroll hidden in a coffin in Charleston, which may contain important clues about Blackbeard's treasure. As they escape, Sarah and Pope are left trapped in a flooding crypt with no clear way out. John B. nearly shoots Leitner but stops himself, remembering how traumatic it was to see his father kill someone. Rafe, meanwhile, is trying to change. He hears his father's voice in his head and wants to reconnect with Sarah and be a better brother. He visits the Pogues shop to find her, but she's not there. While he doesn't do anything violent, his past actions still cast a long shadow. Season 4 Part 1 ends on several cliffhangers. JJ is shaken after learning the truth about his family, Sarah and Pope are in life-threatening danger, and Groff and Hollis's shady plans are just getting started. Fans and critics felt that Season 4 was a big improvement over Season 3, with more emotional depth and stronger teamwork among the Pogues. There's a lot of excitement for what Part 2 will bring. Well, Outer Banks is returning for its 5th and final season, which means the story needs to wrap up properly. Over the last 4 seasons, we've followed the Pogues through wild adventures from their home in the Carolinas to far-off places like the Bahamas and Morocco. With all the action, there are still a lot of unresolved storylines and character arcs that fans want to see concluded before the series ends. One lingering mystery involves the characters' mothers. JJ got answers about his mom in Season 4, but Sarah's mom has never been mentioned, and John B only says he grew up with just his dad. Since so many of the dads in the series play major roles, both positive and negative, it feels odd that the moms are mostly ignored. It would be nice if Season 5 finally shed some light on Sarah and John B's mothers, and whether they played any important roles in their lives. Pope's situation also needs closure. He started off as the most academically promising Pogue, but as the series went on, he took more risks and got into trouble for the sake of his friends. He even skipped out on a chance to avoid jail time by going into the military. While Pope has always accepted the consequences of his actions, it feels unfair that he's the only one facing serious punishment. It would be satisfying to see him find a realistic but hopeful path forward. Rafe's story needs to be addressed as well. He's committed serious crimes but somehow avoids paying for them. In Season 4, he starts trying to make amends, especially with his sister Sarah, but at the same time, he still acts violently and unpredictably. The final season should show whether he redeems himself, faces justice, or does something big like risking his life to protect someone he cares about. Kiara's relationship with her parents is another thread that needs resolution. They've had poor communication for a while. Her parents want to control her life without listening, and she often reacts by running away or yelling. After all the chaos, including losing her boyfriend JJ and the Pogues' home, she could really use support. It would be meaningful to see her and her parents rebuild trust and find peace with one another. The show should also bring the characters back to the Outer Banks for the finale. While it's been exciting to follow the treasure hunts around the world, the show has always felt strongest when it focused on the local setting. Even if not every character stays there in the end, returning home would give the story a proper sense of closure. Lastly, John B and Sarah need a happy ending. The entire story began with John B, and Sarah has become just as central to the plot. They've gone through so much together, losing their fathers, surviving countless dangers, and now planning a future with a baby on the way. Ending the series without giving them a hopeful future would feel like a betrayal to everything the story has built up. Even if not every character gets a perfect ending, John B and Sarah's relationship deserves to come full circle. Well, that's it for today. What do you think will happen in the end? Drop your predictions in the comments, give this a like if you're excited, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any updates on Outer Banks Season 5.